Hey everybody, welcome back to From Under the Rug, the channel that shows you a new side to those you may have had respect for. Today we're doing an update video on a previous video regarding the state of Tyler Millard, also known as Mumkey Jones. I'd really recommend you watch my previous video before watching this, but as a quick recap, he is a YouTuber who got his channel shut down, his former friend being abusive, he cheated on his girlfriend on someone who has an incredibly problematic lifestyle, filled with drawing inappropriate images of animals, and is said to have sexual relations with a 15-year-old. That is quite the introduction. I really never thought I would ever have to make that for a video, but now that you're caught up, I'm going to have to structure this video differently than I typically would. Normally I would talk about what they did and how it's a bad thing, but in this case there's no new thing that he did, rather an important video that really shows how far he's gotten and why he needs to get proper help to change his lifestyle. So here's how I'll do it. This video is mostly centered on his newest video at the time of writing, How I Broke Bad, as a reference to the series Breaking Bad. I'll be mentioning many time codes that state what he's talking about, and how they are problematic. I'm not going to state every detail, only the ones I feel are very important to bring up, either to see how he rationalizes events, or just a general flaw in logic. It's kind of like a reaction video, but with no actual video playing behind you besides me. Let's get started by looking into his mindset he's shown in this video. At the 4-minute mark, he is talking about how he feels his life is like the 4th season of the Breaking Bad show he had referenced. I don't have time to explain the show for those who haven't seen it, but him comparing himself to a drug kingpin who is responsible for the explosion that blew half a man's face off in the season 4 finale, and then lives life in a relatively better life at the next few episodes only to have things get much worse later, is completely nonsensical if he's joking, and incredibly worrying if he is genuine about it. At the 9:12 mark, he's talking about how him and Lou are working on their problems, which include her not drawing her animal images anymore, which is fairly easy to do, but he seems very confident the idea that she wouldn't cheat on him, saying it's not likely for her to be dating someone else if she's already dating him. Last time I checked, Tyler, that did not stop you from seeing Lou while you were seeing Sheepover, now did it? It's almost as if people can be dishonest in the exact way you already were. Right after, he's portraying leaving her for the things she's done as an awful thing for someone to do, as if it's all very forgivable by citing other characters in popular media as being redeemable, and how reality is very opposite, saying to cut out others if there is a very negative aspect to them. It's not fully agreed on as to what should and should not be redeemed in a person, as everyone views things a little differently. But do you know why characters in media who are doing things like having sexual relations with a 15 or any similar aged year-old aren't really the ones who are redeemable characters? It's because they have shown that they are an extreme risk to those around them and should not be tolerated as a good member of society. So when you watch something like To Catch a Predator, there's a reason why people don't cheer on the guys who are going into the sting houses. It's because they aren't redeemable based on what they're doing, or rather trying to do in this instance. I really don't think I should have to say that, but some things just shouldn't be forgiven, even if you happen to like the person who did that. Okay, and around at the 4:15 mark, going back to the Breaking Bad comparison, this is where I personally felt like I had this weird crawl space moment just listening to this part. So here's what happened. Him and Lou were talking at some sort of night conversation, and she said that she still had feelings for the 15-year-old. That means that they really did have some sort of relationship, and it is good to hear it from him now, finally. Then Lou, and I'm not kidding here, about to reach the Bro Jared levels of stupidity of what happened, she chooses the kid over Tyler. Now, I'm not exactly sure how the conversation went, but I could only imagine how it would have been to hear the culmination of so many bad choices from both of them that would have gone. Maybe his Breaking Bad comparison wasn't too far off after all, with how many things just came together in that one conversation so well, and yet it ended so badly. A little bit further ahead at the 22:07 mark, he's now talking about how his Mumkey Jones persona has now gotten him laid more than being himself, as if there's some sort of other personality or something that I truly don't understand. I honestly don't think this is something that most have gone through, but think about this. He has lost his initial successful career on YouTube, his former friend is abusive when he's drunk, he cheated on his girlfriend with someone who has had relations with a 15-year-old, moved to another state, and as he's trying to be with her, she'd rather choose the 15-year-old over him, whom he's known the majority of people he's known would hate if they knew he had chosen her to be with. I can't imagine how it must have felt in that moment, but I think it should be clear exactly how much it affected him in such a way that he has never felt before at this moment. At this point, I think it's making more sense to people. He just doesn't want things to end that way and retain some level of normal in his life despite her having incredibly important flaws. I do not think he's right for doing this, but I think I am getting a better idea of what his thought process is going through everything with. It's not making sense in most people's minds, but it is in his mind. A little bit later at the 2942 point, he explains this by telling her that he would marry her in around a year's time if she would be with him instead of the 15-year-old, and if everything is going well. After this, he continues on the same idea, so I really don't have much to add that I haven't already said. A little bit later, at about the 40-25 mark, he does talk about how what he says in conversations will likely be leaked, and he should act the same to everyone else, so he shouldn't be worried if something did leak from him, such as the Mr. Meatman video, for example. It is true that he doesn't have as much privacy as he should have, and I do think that has desensitized him at least a little bit. It's not as major as the rest of his issues by comparison, but I do think it's worth at least bringing up for you to think about. This continues by saying later that he wants to be the one to give information out, and everyone else is just regurgitating his information for others as a really bad thing. I wonder if I'm included in that list considering my previous video and, well, this one obviously. That probably is the case to some degree. I do tell other people's stories instead of my own, but mine don't have anything like the ones I've done videos on. That's kind of why I at least talk about others, and for this instance, to try to understand why he's the way that he is. At about the 4653 point, he's rationalizing himself as a better person on his medication, as being evolved and better by not feeling bad emotions as much. I'm not sure exactly how serious he is being, but I'm trying to be cautious in saying that it's very concerning if he does mean it. It's especially worrying as he implies that when he stopped taking the pills, his real self started to come out, and this is all some sort of medically induced coping mechanism that's only suppressing how he actually feels. This leaves the difficult case of him being unable to stop taking the pills as he will relapse into a horrible feeling, but if he doesn't, he's much less able to feel proper emotions the way many people normally do. He's truly stuck in a way that can't easily be recovered from. At about the 55-25 mark, he's talking about his brother Patchy and how he won't see him as long as Lou is there in his house. His own brother won't see him at his house, and that clearly hurts him, as he expects him to at least tolerate her being around him. I can't be sure, but I think he doesn't understand that she is making him happy, but not making his brother happy, as Patchy has not had any sort of need to have her around him. Very soon after, it is intended to be uplifting by describing his Let's Play being more popular, though it being uplifting almost an hour into the video at this point isn't really uplifting in general. He is forgiving of his friend deleting his channel after going viral, and this is an interesting moment as he is giving a very good idea of what he would like to get from his fans, and that's for him not to be seen as unforgivable for what had happened. The problem with this comparison is that deleting a YouTube channel is significantly less important than any sexual acts to a 15-year-old would be. This and saying that Lou is only being seen based on the worst things she's done and not acknowledging her good qualities. I'm sure that she has done some good things before, but for the majority of the people, including me, I don't think that they care as much about the positives as the negatives definitely outweigh the positives. I do think people should be more positive just in general, but there should also be a limit to what they will put up with. The rest after this is just him explaining that he will have a new schedule for various videos and streaming, so nothing really relevant to this story. I think before I'm done for today, I'm going to give my full analysis of Tyler at this moment. Some of it admittedly is just repeating what I've already said, but I feel it's good to give a last summary of what I think is the main problem. Please keep in mind that I could be wrong about what I think is his issue. This is just based on what I've been able to put together so far. Tyler is not in a good place, obviously. His channel deletion, his ex-friend's abuse, and him cheating have put him in a bad place. to the point where he needs medication to avoid a terrible breakdown, and yet he is emotionally restricted by it to the point where he is not how he used to be. He is set to be married to someone who has had a very inappropriate relationship too young for them, and he is being too forgiving with her. He asks that other people be more forgiving by accepting someone who most agree with should not be forgiven. He said his life is like Breaking Bad, but at no point could he say, "I won," like Walter White did. He is still in a bad place that people are trying to get him to stop being in, but until he gets away from Lou, it won't truly improve even if he does make great videos or anything else in the short term that might make him feel better then. Now, hypothetically, if you are watching Tyler, the reason why people aren't forgiving Lou is that it's a bad thing she did. You acknowledge this, but forgive her. Why are you able to forgive her and yet be justifiably upset that Brandon was being abusive? I know those aren't the same level of bad, but why aren't you able to tolerate the actions of one, but okay with the other? It's not okay what they both did, but you still support one of them, and I think it's because you need her to feel some sort of normalcy, but not him. Again, I am admitting that this is just speculation, but I think most viewers can see where I'm coming from. I said last time that I think Tyler can still come back from everything, and is not too far gone. I still think he can, but it is harder than I initially thought it would be. I'm not going to say it's hopeless for him, because I don't think it is too late for him to get better, but it's not easy. Most people cannot know exactly what he's been through, and I think that's what some people don't understand. Sure, most say that they wouldn't be with Lou if she was interested in them hypothetically due to her past. But if you were on medication that prevented you from feeling what you could before, and had a strong emotional attachment to her, I don't think everybody would say that they wouldn't, under those circumstances, would think the same way about it. That's our hypothetical scenario, but it's his reality. I know this is a weird structure for my video compared to what I normally do. Sorry if it ended up being a little bit too long. I did try to make it short to condense the main points. My source is self-explanatory, it's just his video that I paraphrased and commented on here. If there's anything that I missed here that would be important for me to mention, or if there's a topic you'd like me to discuss, please let me know in the comments section below, and thank you for watching.